Hey guys, Pat Clark here. We just finished up our 2017 sales class here, so I'm going to just do some testimonials here and see what the guys said and what they think. So I'm going to turn it around here.
Hi guys, highly suggest taking Pat's class. Best class ever. Whether you're in the business or just starting out, you'll learn something, I guarantee it. Great
Awesome.
class.
So what do you think about the 3 days? Was it too long?
No.
Do you think I could have jammed all that into one day?
No. You probably could actually go longer.
Really? Yeah.
You know, there was so much information and trying to take it all in.
Yep.
You definitely could have, probably 4 days, 5 days, whatever.
Yeah. Cool. And you would stay that long?
Sure.
Awesome. Good
Absolutely.
stuff. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. All right, we got Burke here with Squeegee Clean.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So what'd you think about the class?
So I thought the class was really great. I've learned a lot of new things that's going to really jumpstart our business for 2017.
Awesome.
And get it going. And just all the other things that we learned just from the other guys hanging out is worth it as well. Hey, buddy.
Burnout. Burnout. You all right, Noah?
This man.
Safety is important.
Yeah. Hey, sorry about that, guys. My signal's weak here. All right, we'll get him back on. All right, Burke. So how many years in business you in?
I've been in business for about 20 years. Started out as window cleaning, then got into soft washing, pressure washing, and roof cleaning.
Very cool.
So, I'm here learning more. There's always more to learn. And Pat's the guy to learn it from. So I'm going to take his classes. It's pretty awesome.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. All right, so now we got Tom with Titan Pro Wash out of Columbia. So what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, Pat knows his stuff. All the information was great. You're not only going to learn, you're going to meet new people and share ideas. There's always ways to improve your business. Again, like Burke, I've been in business over 20 years, and you're never too old to learn. And but Pat's got a good setup, and he knows his stuff. I'd highly suggest coming to his class.
Awesome. Nice. So real quick, I don't know if you guys were able to see that video. I hope so. I hope it was coming through, but what a ride. But welcome back, guys. Welcome to the show, Community with Closers. Super excited about tonight's episode. I got a really good, amazing friend with incredible story about to come on here. But, with that being said, 2017 is when, 1 year after we launched Sales Boost Live, the live event, small. It was at our shop. It's been growing every year. Tim was at it last year. And so it's just been amazing to see the growth through that. But today we got an awesome guest on the show today. I'm going to introduce him real quick. We got Tim McConnell with Surface Renew. Tim, welcome to Community with Closers.
Good to be here. I was at 2017, wasn't
I want to say you were at the next one.
Okay, might have been.
Yeah. So we did one right before that. And I think you were at the 2018.
What year was AC there? Was that 17 or 18?
I don't even remember.
Okay, I thought it was that year because I remember both those guys. I haven't actually talked to those guys in a long time.
Okay, maybe you were. I don't know. I feel like it was 18, but I could be wrong. I mean, time flies, man. I mean, it's been a crazy ride for sure. All right, man. Well, hey, tell everybody, we got obviously Spotify, we're on YouTube, or live on Facebook right now, right? So kind of tell them a little bit about your background, what you got, how you got into the industry. And if you don't want to go into your story a little bit, I'm going to make sure we're live everywhere else.
Yep. Yeah, no, I've been in the power washing industry for 10 years. I think this year was I guess it's 9 years, but 10 seasons. We're obviously seasonal up here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And started small, started out of my garage like most people did, and built it up. I was lucky enough to meet Pat, and Pat and Brandon Vaughn were the first two people I met. And it wasn't an accident. I went to a convention very early on when I was still learning, how to price things, how to sell stuff. Saw Pat and Brandon doing an awesome job. And, they were the two guys that had the largest companies at the time. And so I just followed them around and did everything I could to pay him to be my friend.
That's it. I remember you said that. I was like, this is so funny you say that.
Well, everyone was out drinking and, partying after the convention. And I was like, I'm going to find those two guys and I'm going to pick their brain.
Yeah.
And, if they don't like me, then I'll just try to like buy their friendship or something. But I just wanted to steal your information, so that's what I did.
Well, I'm glad you did, dude. I mean, it's been an awesome ride since then, and having you at the events and seeing your growth and coming out to your location. I mean, that was one of my best sales boosts on sites, dude. Coming out, hanging out for 4 days.
It was a great ROI. I mean, you pretty much paid me to come. So
I know.
When Pat was out there, he actually sold more work than what I paid him to come out there. So it worked out really well.
I know. It was so cool. Dude, we lined it up. We were like doubling the tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
man.
there was some jobs I was able to sell at a good price, but by and large, my pricing was very up and down. If I had work going, I would price it high. And if I was slow, I would get desperate and just, price stuff really low. And having that system put in place where everything was, the same on every estimate, it was crazy. And I remember thinking that my pricing was really well. And then when you went there, we pretty much doubled our tickets. But I didn't think in our market, people would pay that.
Yeah.
I've learned since then that that's just not true. I mean, I still hear people say that, and I'm like, well, I could probably go to your market and sell the same size ticket,
Exactly. And I think that's huge, right? Because like we still do hear it. We still hear that you can't get those prices in my market. It's flooded, it's saturated. But the reality is it's all in our head, and then you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, I live outside of Grand Rapids. We have Holland, Michigan just to the west. And Holland is much like it sounds. It's full of Dutch people, and they are the cheapest people in the entire world. And, people will, if you have a good service and you have a good presentation, they'll pay for it.
Yeah.
If you're targeting the right people.
That's it. And that's what we did, right? That little simple market research to find out where your clients are coming from. You can go into your CRM and see where your calls are coming from, and then just spiral out, see what's going on there. And that's what we all learned. That's what I learned, right? Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything about business until you start learning and really diving in and becoming a hunter in that territory. So with that being said, man, like tell us how it's going.
It's going well. We're just closing out for the season right now. Obviously it's getting a little bit cold up here in Michigan, and we had a good year. We grew another 25% this year. And at the end of the season, we're at 15 of us. So
nice.
Great crew. We've got a lot of guys that have been here 6, 7. Dylan's been with me 7 years. Dylan.
Yep.
I have an amazing team, the office staff. Everyone's just great. I've kind of worked myself out of any role at the company. I really don't do much anymore with the company. I still go in most days and just kind of check in and hang out it's really just to hang out. I love my team. So that's where we're at, but just a few years ago, we weren't in that spot. We had, a few years ago, we had a fire and lost everything. So it was really building it over. And, some people will remember after the fire, we weren't properly insured. We had we had building insurance, but we did not have content insurance. And, that ultimately falls on my shoulders because I never looked at it. It's one of those things you call the insurance agent and you're like, whatever. You pay them all this money, you think you're covered, but I didn't look it over. So I lost about $300,000 worth of equipment and vehicles and stuff. And I got a check for 71.
Man.
So a couple of years ago, it was at that point where for a long time, I've had this knowledge. I've probably gotten in my own way a lot, thinking, I know better or whatever. But this business it's really simple. And after that fire, it was just knowing that, look, I'm either going to quit this business because it is a hard business, or I'm gonna move forward. And that's when I just kind of went all in and I said, that's what we're going to do. And it really only took the fire happened the year after COVID. COVID was the first time we ever went backwards in sales. We had never gone backwards. Every year it was always like, when you're smaller, it's like 50% growth, 80% growth, whatever. But we'd always move forward. And after COVID, during COVID, we actually went from I think it was like 444,000 the year before COVID. Then COVID happened. We went down to 330 some thousand, 32 or 33,000. So that spring, we were coming out of a bad year. It was the first time we ever went backwards. It was incredibly humbling. And then the fire happened. And after a down year. And luckily that, you don't want to say I'm happy that we had the fire, because obviously that sucked. That there was a whole lot of things that happened through that were tough. They were hard things to go through, but that fire, I mean, it rallied the team and we grew the company. I mean, it's been 2 years and we're up over $1 million in revenue from where we were then. So,
yeah. And I think that goes back too, it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Yep.
So you see that, silver lining, if you will. And I think that's what you did. And I think the community too, we're in such an awesome industry, man, that like people pour in, right? And like help you, hey, here's a truck, here's a trailer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Everyone in my group at that time, it was like JC, Josh Richardson, who's awesome guy. Chris Heffernan, good friend of mine. Everyone kind of came together in that group. And of course, Michael Gregory was my coach at the time. He's got all the coaches on the phone. I mean, everybody, we have coaches. Matt Clark gave me a trailer. He just gave it to me. And I didn't feel comfortable with all of it. I'm not one to like put my hand out, but we had work to do. We had a bunch of work lined up. And in fact, our biggest month to date we had ever had was around 90,000, I think, 90 some thousand. And that fire happened May 22, which was a Saturday. It was like 1 a.m. We were back to work on Monday. Caleb Winiger, he's out of Detroit. He's on the other side of the state. He borrowed me some equipment temporarily to just have equipment so we could get back to work. So Sunday, a friend of mine, I didn't have a truck because they all melted. So a friend of mine grabbed his truck and trailer and brought me over to Caleb's. Caleb met me down there on a Sunday, loaded up some equipment. We went back to work, and it took us a few days just to figure out how to do the job with, we had nice skids. We had everything we needed. Now we're working with piecing things together and using downstream injectors that aren't properly sized because we're waiting on, an order we had placed for new stuff to come in. And that June, we had our largest month ever. We actually did 119,000.
Dang.
I've got pictures. We've got guys on the team that are stuffing, homeowner grade power washers in the back of 25-year-old Honda Civics that have rust all over them. And it was so awesome because all of our clients, all of our customers did not care. They were everyone was like rooting us on. And we sent an email out about the fire. We had people from all over reaching out. We had people that we had just done work for 30 days earlier trying to rehire us. I was like, no, your house is clean. We just cleaned it a couple of weeks ago. But when you look back on it, what's happened in the last couple of years is I don't think that we would be in the place we're at now had that not happened.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, man. And your team came together, and it was like you're all in. Right. I remember talking to you on the phone and you guys were all in.
Yeah, that Saturday they came over to my house like 6-7 hours after they found out, and I was done. I was like, you know what? We're going to do a different business. This one's really tough anyways. And I was just at a point where it's like, you put in all this work and you literally watch it go up in flames. I mean, I remember pulling out of my house. I lived in a little town called Hudsonville, and there's a main Chicago Drive is the road that goes east and west. My shop is only about 2.5 miles from my house. My brother called me. It's like 1 a.m. and he's like, you need to get to your shop. It's on fire. And my brother's like me. We, you can't take many things we say serious. And I'm like, yeah, okay, stupid. He's like, I'm serious. I'm not joking. Your shop's on fire. I'm like, whatever. It's probably fine. And I remember pulling out on a Chicago Drive, and I look up and I just see flames probably 100 feet in the air. And I was like, yep, that's not a small problem.
Oh man. What'd you feel at that moment? Like, what's going through your head?
I was manic. I was, at first it was like, well, we'll get past this. But then it was, I wanted to give up. I mean, there's no two ways about it. There was a couple of days where I was like, I won't say on here what I was thinking in my head, but it was like, what's the point? This is, it's tough to go through that, but now I can look back at it. I remember that night. It'll be a night I always remember. but it was not a fun experience. And then you had the media was there trying to, and I'm like, get out of my face, trying to put a camera in my, it's like, no.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Yeah.
so
Trying to get it.
Yeah.
Dang, man, that's so crazy.
Yeah. Well,
But so tell me what your team came together, and then what did that look like? You already had the work, from the marketing and all that stuff. So like to do over $100,000 in a month, obviously no equipment really, piecing it together. Like that's the grit, right? That's the Goya that we talk about is like hell or high water. We're going to make it happen. Like it's happened to us all at one point. Like all our staff walks out, right?
Yep.
Like you start the year with one employee, whatever it may be, but that's the stuff, that's the grit that you stick into this and then you grow it and, then you can get that freedom. So like with your team coming together and they're even doing better now, right? What did that look like? What did that grit look like there?
Oh, I mean, you just got to go. I've been lucky. I've got plenty of negative character traits, things that have slowed me down. But one of them is, I don't give up. And if someone tells me I can't do something, I'll do it twice as good as they thought possible. And if and in fact, sometimes one of my problems is that when my back's against the wall, I can do whatever I want. But sometimes when my back's not against the wall, that's when I got to worry about, what do you call it? Complacency.
Yeah.
That's what I have to be very careful. But when my back's against the wall, it's like, you just do whatever you have to do. And it's just second nature. So I think that my team, because that's how I am, I've probably hired people that are very similar. And there's two things that I've always looked for when I hired people was loyalty and grit. And that's it. They don't have to be I don't have, rocket scientists. I've got a group of loyal, gritty, hardworking people. And, they were that whole group. And what's funny is one of the guys that's still with me today that now does sales for me, his first day was the day after the fire. He showed up to my home and we're all in unwrapped vehicles. We don't have uniforms. That was his first day. And he showed up and he's like, why aren't we meeting at the shop? I was like, yeah, about that. There is not actually one anymore. And we worked out of my house.
Wow.
My neighbor probably loved us. We had like 10 vehicles lining the street.
Dang. Well, I mean, yeah. So like for everybody watching too, because we want to talk about like show me the money type stuff, right? So we have the grit, we talk about the Goya. But what does that really look like? You know what I mean? Like with your marketing, and what would you say were some of the best things that you did to put the work on the board? I mean, obviously you're building the team. There's a lot in there.
Well, I think there's a big thing, and that's you have to have good average tickets. I've talked to a lot of people. I've, been around for 10 years, so I've gone to a lot of conventions and I hear people talk to people, meet people. Too many people have way too low tickets. And I think that, and I'm not trying to poo-poo because we can all do it our own way. There's people that have done it anyway and whatever. But in my experience, I don't think, if I'm sending one of my guys in a wrapped vehicle with their uniform, professional, there to build a relationship, there to do an inspection and show them issues they might have, give them referrals to, if they need their siding repaired or their roof fixed.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get that job from me if they're just calling them over the phone and saying, oh, I'll wash your house, $325, 180 for the windows. And I think that the biggest thing is you have to go there and you have to sell the work, and you have to do it at a price that makes it, you're not trying to make it affordable. You're trying to do it so that you can afford to do a good job.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. That's my biggest bit of advice is focusing on getting your tickets up. Everything becomes a lot easier. Our average ticket is always been 1,500 or higher. Always.
Nice.
Since the company started, every year when I go back and look at it, this year we were down a little bit. And I think this year it was just under 1,600.
Wow.
And that's a down year from last year.
Yeah.
So, but we would never get that if we didn't go there in person, build a relationship, and spend the time with them and sell them multiple services. It's not like we really are. Honestly, I think sometimes we're a little bit cheaper than I'd like to be. It's because we hardly ever do just a house wash or just a window wash. We typically are I would say at least 50% of our jobs are house and roof. And that's how you get your ticket up. I mean, if we were just doing house washes, our average ticket would probably be like $500 or, whatever.
Yeah. Like we do with the top sell principle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our entire sales process is just a copy of what you showed me 6, 7 years ago. That's it.
Yeah.
I didn't reinvent anything. I changed the NCR around just a hair, and we do actually use Responsibid now. We found that works well for power washing. Doesn't work so well for holiday lights, but it worked really well for power washing. But I mean, outside of that, we do everything exactly the same as what I don't even know what year was that. Was that 2016, 17? You came to Michigan?
Dude, I don't even remember.
Yeah, me neither.
It's been.
That's what wives are for.
5 exactly. Yeah, 5 years ago. I'm never. We're not good with dates. But yeah, I think it was 17. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, I mean, that's amazing. But that's what it is. It's like don't run around and do 10 jobs for $200, right? Like do 1 or 2 jobs. Because we always did. That's what I did in dispatch was like 3 jobs or less, and that got us our average ticket. And like you said, we want to be, $1,500 average ticket. Because then you can really reverse engineer your numbers. And that's where we built out the plan. We had the marketing calendar / business plan. And that's where the rubber meets the road is like have a plan of attack. Who are you going up against? And I think, we get into business because we're not quite sure, or we're just out doing the do because that's what everybody else is doing. No, you know what I mean? Like go to a training, go to somebody's shop, go see what these larger companies are doing, and then, do it your way. Right.
Yeah. And that's the other nice thing too, is you can travel. I mean, you meet people on these forums. If anyone ever wanted to come to my shop, come on up. As long as you're not a weirdo, you can stay at my house. You don't have to give me money. You have to come in a time where I can make it work. But it's like, I've been to so many shops, even guys in my group. I've been to JC's, I've been to Josh's, I've been to Chris's, I've been to yours many times. Anytime I had an opportunity or I met someone who I thought was a little bit ahead of where I was, I just say, hey, could I come hang out with you? Could I, I'll get my own hotel so you don't have to put me up. And, half the time guys are like, no, you can crash at my house. I have a guest room. But if you want to get to a spot, go find someone that's there and look at what they're doing. And even if you don't want to copy what they're doing, you can at least pick a few things up.
Yeah. Yeah. So valuable.
But I mean, I've been to every training available in the power washing industry as well. Like I've been to all your stuff. I've done a lot of stuff with Josh. I've done a lot of stuff with Brandon. You got to spend the money on learning. You could do it the slow way, which sounds really terrible, or you can just spend a few bucks and you go learn those things and apply them and they work.
Yeah. Yeah. Little things. I mean, it's little things too, like culture in your company, you know what I mean? How you're paying your team members, right? Like, are you going out and going go-karting? Are you doing team building exercises? Like little things like that. Cause I see, companies where the owner, right, or even the manager, right, like they get that complacency that you talked about and they let their foot off the gas a little bit and they don't do the morning huddles in the morning. And then the trucks are a mess, right? And then they're losing things and they're breaking things. And then all of a sudden, guess what? You get to the end of the year, and you're like, crap, wait a minute, we didn't make a profit?
Been there, done that.
Right? Like, dang it. No, you want to keep your eye on the prize and you got to look at that daily, weekly, monthly, right? Like you got to think like a CEO.
Yep.
And knowing the numbers. And I know you're really good at the numbers. So we didn't touch on it. So before we got 10 minutes left here, but talk about the growth. You were talking about last year's number to this year's and
yeah. So we went and I don't know, is this what year is it right now? Is it 2023? Yeah, 23, something like that. 2023. So the fire happened. COVID was 2020, right? Or was it 2021?
It was 2020.
So yeah, the fire happened. So it would have been 2021 to now, which is all of 21, 22. So about 3 years. We went from that number that we had gone backwards to, which was 333, to this year will be over 1.3. We were on track for 1.5, but unfortunately things just died out at the end of the season. So, and I didn't anticipate it. So probably next year we'll be doing some more proactive things. But we're seeing the economy soften a bit, and we weren't adequately prepared for it. So, but it's still, I mean, you're looking at $1 million in growth in 3 years, and I didn't do anything special.
Yeah.
I just worked hard, and I built a team, and that's the number one secret on how you get there is you build a team. Because if you want to do it by yourself, good luck. I don't think maybe in a nicer place like down south, somewhere where it's warm all year round, maybe you could get to $1 million by yourself, but that would be a life that I would never want. The amount of effort it would take to try to get to $1 million without a team is just, it's unbearable. But once you have a team, it is very easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't work hard anymore. I'm actually looking for a new opportunity because I'm bored. It's like I want to.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about too is like, this is a vehicle like any startup or, new business, right? This is a vehicle to do what your really dreams, desires are, right? Like, and our why changes. It was back then, it was like, dude, I need to make $1 million.
Yeah.
It was like, great. And then you do it and you're like, oh, crap, like nothing really changed, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, now you can do other things. Now you have more time, right? You can invest in the community. Like, your why is definitely going to change as you do that, but you can't do that alone. You have to build a team around you. That way you're taking all the monkeys off your shoulders. You're giving them to somebody else and they're going to fight for you.
And one of the interesting things I've learned is that once you have a great team, they do a better job at most of the things than I did. I always thought I was a pretty sharp guy, pretty good at these things. No, they do a way better job than I did.
Yeah.
And, we did a SWOT analysis yesterday. We started it. Mm-hmm. And today I was just being lazy. I didn't feel like going in. We were supposed to start it. So I asked them to just, do it themselves and I'll come check it at the end. Mm-hmm. I go in there. It was 11. They started the last thing we had was the opportunities we were working on. And that was kind of the biggest area was the opportunities part of it. Mm-hmm. And I go in there and they're done. And I'm like, well, the other day it took us 3 hours to do less work, and it's like they do a great job, and if anything, there might be times where I slow them down by showing up.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And you learn so much from, your team because now they're bringing in ideas. It's not just you.
Oh yeah.
And they're, coming up with cooler things because they're out in the field and they're thinking, right. They're doing it, a little bit different, but not too much. And yeah, you bring that in and say, let's do it or whatever it may be. But I love those kind of things. The people analyzer, right? Like everybody kind of, vets each other. There's a lot of things that you can see at these, trainings and stuff. And I'm not just tooting Sales Boost horn, but I'm just saying like at Sales Boost, you're going to get little tweaks and stuff like that. And each year you're going to pick something up. You're going to learn, right? Different tracks, that kind of stuff. And it's just cool to see those little things that make a huge difference in your team, right? And your business to give you the freedom that you ultimately want.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But dude, thank you, man, for being on the show tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's been awesome. It's been incredible to watch you grow, crush it, man. Dylan's still there, right?
Yep.
Crushing it.
So he runs the operation now, but probably in about another year, he'll be running the entire business. I'm just going to step out of it completely. He's been so loyal. I want to reward him. I'm probably going to gift him some equity in the company. He's been with me 7 years now. He does everything I ask him to. The guy works harder than anyone I've ever seen. He's like one of those people where you're like, I got to make sure that he's going to be good for his life.
Yeah.
He's stuck around. I mean, I couldn't imagine sticking through some of the stuff he has, and especially the fire. I probably would have said peace out and gone somewhere that was a little more stable than operating out of a garage again.
Yeah. No, that's what it's all about right there, right? Yeah. Setting him up for success. And then, like you said, now you're going to go find some other opportunities, right? Yep. And then keep that and let that thing still go and grow. And Dylan's just going to be the man doing it.
Yep.
But it's pretty cool. You started it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's sure. your legacy right there. So cool, man. Well, one last thing that I always do on the end of the podcast is what would you leave or, a piece of wisdom or a tip, a trick that you can leave with the audience that maybe helped you or helped your business or your team?
I think the biggest thing I've realized in doing this, and I've had 2 companies. My first company was much bigger than this one. I think that I've learned, and I didn't know this before because it was a different business model. There was a lot of subcontractors. This is way more difficult. This one, the power washing, a lot more moving parts. Is I don't care what industry you're in. If you build a team, your life becomes so simple, and you can just crush anything you think you could if you have a team. And I even see, I'm not going to name names, but I see some people that I care about a lot, and I see them they're not building team, and they struggle, and they're constantly overwhelmed. And it's like, if you build a team, everything just falls in place. Pat always told me, because I remember the first time I hired a sales guy, I don't forget what you used to always say. You used to say, put them in the place and the business will
and the money will come. If you put the people in place and the money will come.
Yeah, because I used to always annoy Pat. I figure since how I paid him to come out to my house, I could just telephone him every time I wanted to. And I was always scared to make those hires. And I think, of course, you don't want to run your company into the ground, but you're just wasting time. If you don't put people in place, you're wasting time. It's going to take 5 years instead of 1. And I think the best thing you can do is if you can find good people and you have good people, is just put people in place and let them do their job.
That's it. Yeah, let them do their thing. And yeah, it's awesome to watch. It is amazing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And you're like the coach of the team. You can move them around. You can put them in the places where, they don't even know where they need to be, but you're that guy, that visionary that can see, based on what they're doing, how they're performing. Yep. And yeah, it's just magic when that happens and the team is like, you're building a machine.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Good deal, man. Well, awesome. Thanks for being on, dude.
Hey, but,
we're just going to keep this going, brother. So we'll have you on probably again later on Community with Closers. But thanks everybody for joining. Have an amazing evening. We will see you next Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.